metals giving way, and then that roar.
I never wanted to reopen that file. I spent years trying to forget what I saw, what I heard, and what almost killed me. But when I found the CIA dossier with the date .1952, I felt my stomach churn. There was the proof. The government was tracking the Bigfoot for decades, not out of curiosity, but out of fear. The first pages showed deep footprints in the snow. The last, scratches on armored metal. Then I heard the final recording. Soldiers running, screams, and a roar that wasn't human. Before the static faded, a whisper, he escaped. That's when something moved behind me. When I turned slowly, my heart racing, I realized my hands were trembling so much I could barely hold the flashlight. The noise behind me was soft, almost imperceptible, but enough to awaken something I thought had lain dormant forever. The primal fear I felt on that mountain years ago. I took a deep breath and told myself it was just the old agency building creaking as usual. But I knew deep down, I knew that nothing involving that dossier was just anything. The CIA archives always smelled of old dust mixed with rusty metal. But that night, there was a different odor. Something damp, earthy, as if the entire forest had come in there with me. The light flickered twice, casting long shadows across the shelves. I tried to ignore it. I tried to convince myself it was just tiredness. But then I saw, on the side of the file 1952 classified field OPEREIONS, there was a scratch mark. It wasn't old. It wasn't human. I ran my finger over the deep groove, and the dust around it had been recently displaced. It was then that a bitter truth began to form in my mind that perhaps I wasn't alone there. I picked up the old recorder that was inside the folder, the same one from the audio I'd listened to a few minutes earlier. It shouldn't have been there. Officially, that equipment had been destroyed in 1976, and yet it was right in front of me, heavy, cold, with peeling paint and a serial number 1. Recognized, the same one from the operation, Hollow Creek, the operation that no one should ever mention. I pressed the play button. The hiss filled the room, followed by the hurried footsteps of soldiers. They were running through heavy snow. I recognized the sound. Then, the metallic creak of a reinforced door being crushed by something from outside. The tension in the recording was palpable. Desperate whispers, orders cut off by static, and then the roar. A roar so deep it made my chest vibrate. Even though it was just a recording, it wasn't a bear. It wasn't a feline. This was something we had been trained to publicly deny for years, even when we saw the evidence right in front of us. It was Bigfoot. The same thing the government had been monitoring since 1952, always denying, always burying reports, always silencing agents. The same thing I, against all protocols, saw with my own eyes in 2009. When the audio ended, the silence in the room became unbearable. I felt that weight on the back of my neck again, as if something were watching me. I turned slowly, pointing the flashlight. The beam of light swept across the shelves, illuminating gray boxes and yellowed labels. Nothing moved, no sound, no sign of life. And that's why I almost fainted when I saw the door ajar. I had closed it. I was absolutely sure. Did I lock it? Maybe not, but I closed it. I always close them. It's part of my training. The door was now open just enough to let a line of darkness invade the room. The hallway was completely dark. I felt my breath catch in my throat. For a moment, I considered calling for reinforcements, but I knew what that would mean. Reports, interrogations, the confiscated file, and the whole truth, once again buried. I walked slowly to the door. Each step seemed to echo against the cold floor. When I touched the wood, I realized it was damp, as if something wet had touched it moments before. Then I heard it again. 3 taps, low, slow, on the hallway wall. It wasn't human, and I wasn't alone. I stood motionless, my hand still resting on the damp door, trying to control my breathing. Every cell in my body screamed for me to retreat. But part of me, the part trained to keep going even when everything said otherwise, advanced. I pushed the door just a little, and the corridor opened before me like an endless dark tunnel. The flashlight's light seemed too weak, as if the darkness swallowed the beam before it even touched the walls. The 3 taps repeated. Themselves, they weren't loud taps. They were light, almost careful, as if something were testing or waiting for my reaction. I swallowed hard. For a moment, I thought about going back, closing the room, and waiting until dawn. But the memory of the recording, the roar, the soldiers' panic pushed me forward. I needed to know if what I heard, what I saw years ago, had truly returned. I walked slowly down the corridor, my steps measured. The building was too quiet. At this hour, even in the middle of the night, there was always some distant noise. Printers, security guards changing shifts, metal doors closing. But not that night. It was as if the whole building was holding its breath. I passed through the first row of doors. Archive 3B, indexing room, old laboratory. Everything closed, everything still. Then I noticed something on the floor. Thin trail of water, as if someone had walked there minutes before, dripping. But it wasn't just water. There were dark particles, almost like residue of damp earth mixed with pine needles. That shouldn't be there, not in that building. I knelt down and touched it with my fingertip. Cold, recent. There was only one thing I encountered in 2009 that left traces like this. And that's what the government referred to, in internal reports, as entity alpha-neme. But we, those who actually saw it, knew the real name, Bigfoot. I kept walking, feeling my stomach churn. With each step, the scent of the forest seemed stronger, as if the night outside had invaded everything. The darkness seemed alive. And then, for the first time that night, I heard another sound, a slow, deep dragging, like something large shifting position at the end of the corridor. The flashlight trembled in my hand. I called, "Is anyone there?" Silence. I took 2 more steps, now faster, almost involuntarily. My mind tried to rationalize. Maybe it was an animal trapped in the building? But how could it have gotten in? And why would it leave such familiar marks? Then, the flashlight's beam illuminated something on the ground. A partial footprint, imprinted in the fine dust that always accumulated there. Too big to be human, and wide, very wide. My chest tightened. It couldn't be a coincidence. It couldn't be my imagination. It was the same shape I saw that freezing winter, when the creature passed less than 10 meters from me, breathing heavily, with eyes that seemed too old to belong to any animal. Do you believe the government is actually hiding evidence about Bigfoot? Comment below what you think, and if you've ever had a strange experience in the forest, share it with us. I felt a shiver run down my spine. That footprint was fresh. Before I could react, another sound broke the silence, a loud crack, like wood breaking. It came from the direction of the service stairs. I quickly turned my flashlight. Nothing, only darkness. But the echo of the crack reverberated, revealing weight. Something large was there. My instinct screamed, "Don't go!" But my curiosity, or stubbornness, won out. I approached the staircase. The metal handrail was crooked, as if something had pressed against it. There were long, deep scratches, exactly like the ones in the 1952 folder. My fingers touched the twisted metal. It was hot, hot as if something had passed there seconds before. Then the sound came. Not a full roar, but a strong, guttural breath exhaled with enough force to make my whole body stiffen. It was the same sound I heard years ago, long before I lost 2 agents on that mountain, and it came from the top of the stairs. I raised the flashlight, and I saw 2 eyes shining in the dark. When I saw those eyes reflecting the flashlight's light, my body froze. They were large, wide-set, with an amber glow reminiscent of distant fire. There was no hatred there, but there was something worse. Awareness. The creature was watching me the same way I watched it, assessing, measuring, deciding if I was a threat or prey. My hand was sweating so much I almost dropped the flashlight. The air grew heavier, as if the entire hallway had become too small for me. For a moment, I thought I was reliving the trauma of 2009, a memory distorted by adrenaline. But then, my eyes blinked. And that wasn't a memory. I know you can hear me, I murmured, not understanding why I spoke aloud. Perhaps because the silence was deafening. Perhaps because part of me still believed that if I remained calm, I would have some chance of getting out. Of they're alive. The creature moved subtly. It didn't descend the steps. It didn't advance. It merely tilted its head, like someone trying to decipher a strange language. The gleam in its eyes shifted slightly, and I realized they reflected not only the light of the flashlight, but the inner light of something, alive, conscious. Something that didn't fit into the simplistic categories of government reports. My heart was beating so loudly I could hear it. For a second, I remembered the night my squad found the first evidence. Enormous footprints in the snow, broken trees, and that distant roar that made 3 men request discharge the next day. I remembered the colossal shadow that ran parallel to the truck for an entire stretch of the forest, never losing its breath. And I remembered my superior's words, "Never look her in the eyes. Never." And there I was, facing exactly that. The creature took a deep breath. The sound echoed down the staircase like the whirring of an old engine. I instinctively took a step back. Another. But I kept the flashlight pointed. If it went out, if it fell, if I lost my only point of reference in that darkness, that could be the end for me. It was at that moment that something unexpected happened. The creature raised its hand. An enormous hand, almost twice the size of mine. Hairy, but with long, almost human fingers. It didn't threaten. It didn't advance. It simply opened its palm, showing it to me as a gesture of warning? Communication? I didn't know. No report mentioned this posture. My breath caught in my throat. And then, slowly, almost ritually, she closed her hand again, turning slightly to the side as if she heard something behind her. Her eyes stopped focusing on me for a second. And it was in that second that I realized I wasn't dealing with a disoriented animal. She was protecting something. Before we begin this insane story, leave Alket if you enjoy government conspiracy stories. And subscribe to the channel with notifications activated because this story will keep you up at night. Or someone. My agent instincts kicked in. If she wasn't there for me, then who was up there? Another researcher? A night security guard? Or what sent chills down my spine, something the creature wanted to avoid at all costs? The creature took a step back into the darkness. The gleam in its eyes dimmed. Silence returned slowly, heavy, suffocating, as if the entire building were waiting for the next decision, hers or mine. And then, without warning, I heard a sound behind me. Steps. Quick. Urgent. I turned the flashlight around reflexively. It was Agent Morris, my old partner, pale, sweaty, with his gun in his hand and his eyes wide. "Don't shoot," I whispered. "Don't do it, Morris." But he didn't listen to me. Or perhaps he had listened for too long. "He's gone outside the perimeter," Morris said, breathless. "We can't stop him now." I looked up the stairs. The giant eyes had disappeared. The creature was no longer there, And the void she left behind was even more terrifying. Morris was as pale as if he'd seen a ghost. Maybe he had. Maybe we both had. He kept the gun raised, pointed at the empty space at the top of the stairs, exactly where, seconds before, those incandescent eyes had been. I approached slowly, trying not to frighten him further. Morris ... put the gun down. He's gone. He was? He smiled shakily. We both know that these things don't go. They watch. They wait. I swallowed. Hard, he was right. The creature, what the government insisted on calling entity Alphanine, but which we knew to be the Bigfoot, he never moved by chance. He didn't attack on impulse. There was intention in every step, in every appearance. And now, he was inside the agency. Morris lowered his weapon, but he didn't relax. "Where is the dossier?" he asked. I nodded, indicating that it was still with me, tucked under my arm. He took a deep breath and wiped the sweat from his face. "This should never have left the safe, you know that. I didn't take it off. I was in my office when I arrived." He stared at me as if I had just confessed to a federal crime. "So someone wants you to see this." The words sent shivers down my spine. I'd thought about it before, of course, but hearing it aloud made it all the more real, and the far more dangerous. Morris motioned for us to follow him to my office. We walked down the silent hallway, the flashlight trembling in my hand. With each step, the feeling that something was watching us grew stronger. The smell of damp earth came and went like waves. When we got to my office, I closed the door and locked it twice. Morris opened his tactical briefcase and took out a small EMF scanning device. He turned it on and scanned the entire room. The device beeped 3 times. Weak, but enough. "He was here," Morris said. "Recently." I didn't reply. I simply placed the file on the table. The pages were yellowed, but the red stamp classified Level 6 looked as if it had been printed that very day. I opened to the first page that had caught my attention earlier. Operation HOLLOW Creek -1952 Objective, Monitoring and Containment. Status: Crash. Casualties: 23 Below that, there was a handwritten line: "It's not an animal." Morris pulled the folder toward him and turned more pages. There were photos, blurry, old, grainy, showing enormous footprints in the snow, fallen trees, and in one of them, what appeared to be a huge silhouette among the pines. Nothing conclusive, as always, but there was something new. A sheet of paper held together by a rusty paperclip. "What is this?" I asked. Morris read quickly and turned even paler. "This is Dr. Harlan's report." My heart raced. Harlan was no ordinary name. He was one of the first scientists authorized to study the creature. He disappeared in 1954, officially during an expedition in Alaska. But rumors said he had had direct contact with it. Bigfoot, prolonged contact. This is the story the CIA doesn't want you to know. But I'm going to tell you everything in the next few minutes. Comment. I want to know if you're ready for the truth. Read, I whispered. Morris continued. The creature exhibits intelligent behavior. It not only avoids confrontation, it anticipates it. Communication possible. Rudimentary signals observed. We shouldn't treat her as a threat, but as a refugee. She's protecting something. Or someone. The last words made the air disappear from the room. Protégé who? I asked, feeling a chill down my spine. Morris turned the page. There was one last line, shaky, written as if the author were fleeing as he wrote, "They are not one, they are a family." The light in the room flickered, and in the hallway, we heard the same heavy breath that was coming from the staircase. The creature wasn't running away. She was looking for... The heavy breath echoed through the hallway like a deep, irregular wave reverberating off the concrete walls. Morris. immediately raised his weapon, while I remained motionless, my eyes fixed on the closed door of the room. From the vibration in the air, I realized the creature was close, very close. Close enough that the sound of its breath could penetrate layers of metal and wood. "Turn off the light," I murmured. Morris hesitated for only a second, but did as I asked. The room plunged into a bluish twilight, illuminated only by the screen of the EMF equipment, which now pulsed with irregular reading. The needle vibrated as if it were about to break. "He's in the hallway," Morris said, his voice low, almost inaudible. My body reacted before my mind. I clutched the file to my chest as if it were some kind of shield. In reality, it was worse. Carrying that file made me exactly what the creature was looking for, or whatever someone wanted her to pursue. The breathing of Bigfoot, it grew stronger. The ground vibrated with a step, just one but heavy, firm, intentional. He was walking toward our door. Morris approached her and peered through the narrow glass above. I knew he wouldn't see much. The darkness of that hallway swallowed everything. But his reaction made my stomach churn. He took a step back. "He's staring straight at the door," she whispered. I approached slowly and looked too. The eyes were there. The same amber eyes from the staircase. The same intensity. The same intelligence. But there was something different about them now. They weren't just observing. They were searching. It was as if the creature was trying to identify something inside the room. "He's not here to attack," I murmured, more to myself than to Morris. "He's looking for the file." Morris turned his face to me, confused. "How do you know?" "Because..." My voice faltered. "Because that's what they've done to him since 1952. They tracked him. They hunted him down. They cataloged him. And this file, it's not just about him. It's about his family. About everything they tried to hide." The creature took another step. The door vibrated slightly. Morris raised his weapon again. "Don't shoot," I whispered urgently. "You know what happens when an agent shoots him." Morris knew. In 2009, 2 men died trying to do just that. He kept the gun raised, but did not put his finger on the trigger. We took a deep breath, waiting, while the creature remained there, motionless, staring through the glass. Then, something impossible happened. The creature raised its hand just like before, but this time it wasn't just showing its palm. It was pointing, specifically, at me. My throat went dry. "Recognized you," Morris said. It wasn't a question, it was a certainty. And when I heard that, a piece of memory I'd been avoiding for years pierced my mind like a blade. The night we found the cub. The little one. The one that was breathing with difficulty while the rest of the group fled. The one I tried to save. What we never saw again after the attack. My heart raced. "He thinks I know where he is." I murmured, "He thinks I hid the puppy." The creature's eyes narrowed slightly, as if confirming my thought, as if searching for an answer I never had the courage to admit. Something banged in the distance, not a roar, not a crack. It was more like metal being forcefully closed. The creature turned its face away immediately, and it disappeared into the darkness of the hallway. Morris ran to the door, unlocked it, and opened it, but the hallway was empty. Nothing but damp footprints and the intense smell of the forest. The creature had vanished as quickly as it had appeared. "He's going to the basement," Morris said, looking at the surveillance map on the wall. "Down there, ... are the other vaults." My blood ran cold. The safes where they kept the others' files. The files on experiments. About captures. And what about the puppy they tried to hide for 70 years? The Bigfoot wasn't just running away. I was searching for the truth. And now, we would have to do it too. We descended the emergency stairs faster than we should have. The echo of our footsteps seemed to double inside that narrow shaft, as if the entire building were watching us. I knew the agency's basement tour, at least I thought I did. The official version spoke of old storage rooms and disused offices. But I'd worked there long enough to know that nothing in government was just a storage room. Morris pressed the radio, trying to call any nearby unit. The interference responded. Just interference. This isn't normal, he murmured. The underground is blocking all frequencies. It's blocking. Today, I corrected myself. It wasn't like that before. He stopped halfway up the step. Do you think they knew he was coming? I didn't answer. Because deep down, yes. I thought so. Nothing about that night seemed like a coincidence. We reached the door to level -3. The twisted metal betrayed that the creature had passed through there minutes before. The scratches were deep, long, so strong that they even cut. Through part of the metal, Morris swallowed hard. If he wanted to break into it, he would have done it already. He didn't come to destroy, I replied. He came, look for. We entered the main hallway. The fluorescent light flickered as if struggling to stay lit. The smell of damp earth was much stronger there, not like a trail, but like something ingrained in the walls. And the further we went, the more the temperature seemed to drop. I ran my hand along the metal handrail. It was too cold. Cold as snow. And then, something I didn't expect to see. Footprints. Clear. Enormous. Deep. They weren't random. They weren't from someone on the run. They were orderly. Linear. The steps of someone who knew exactly where they were going. He left that there, on purpose, I murmured. Morris crouched down to get a better look. Why? So that we would follow him. Or to distance ourselves from something, he retorted. No report mentioned, but that I learned in 2009, when I saw the creature up close for the first time. Bigfoot doesn't attack without reason, he warns, he guides. He tries to avoid violence. We arrived at the section where the special safes were located. Most were sealed, but safe number 7 was open. The door, a metal block almost 30 centimeters thick, was pushed against the wall, folded like paper. We went in. The safe was small, just a table and 3 cabinets, but everything was in disarray. Papers on the floor, broken folders, destroyed boxes. There were marks on the floor, elongated scratches, as if something had been dragged. And in the center of the room, a smaller, open metal box. Inside it, nothing. Morris approached, looking tense. This box, he said, touching it with the care of someone handling an explosive. This should contain a biological specimen. I felt my whole body go cold. The puppy? He nodded. What's left of him, ... Yes. At least that's what the reports say, my heart raced. Bigfoot didn't come seeking revenge. He came to get what washair. Morris, if he found that empty box, my voice trailed off. Because I heard the noise before I finished the sentence. Voices. 2. Humanities. Running down the hallway. Instinctively, we turned off our flashlights. We stood behind the door, listening. The footsteps approached quickly, accompanied by labored breathing. Did you see the size of that thing? A male voice whispered nervously. That's not an animal. Jenkins, that's single quotes us ... double quotes. Keep your voice down, the second voice interrupted. If the principal finds out we were here ... The conversation was interrupted by a sound that made everyone's blood run cold. The same deep, guttural breath. The Bigfoot. It was close. Very close. But it didn't seem hostile. He seemed ... lost. Or perhaps ... desperate. The 2 men ran in the opposite direction. Then, finally, we saw him. The gigantic silhouette at the end of the corridor. The same amber gaze. But this time, there was sadness in him, and something was trapped in his enormous hand. Something small. Something I never imagined I'd see. The creature stood at the end of the corridor, motionless, like a living statue sculpted by the forest itself. The flickering light from the underground fell on its dark, thick fur, highlighting the powerful outline of its chest and shoulders. But it was its hand that took my breath away. He was holding something small, something delicate, something totally incompatible with the size of its claws. From a distance, it appeared to be just a dark object, shrouded in dirt and fragments of earth. But when the creature took a step forward, slow, silent, almost cautious, the light revealed what it was. A toy. A small cloth teddy bear, faded by time. I felt my stomach drop. It wasn't just any toy. I recognized that object. I'd seen something identical, in 2009. Morris noticed my reaction. "What is this?" he asked, keeping his voice low. I swallowed hard. "On that expedition," I began, my voice weak, "we found a makeshift shelter in the snow, a sort of nest, and that bear, or one like it, was there, next to smaller tracks of a cub." The creature stopped a few meters from us. The hallway was narrow. It occupied almost the entire width. A giant squeezed between human walls. But what struck me most wasn't the size. It was the look. A look that wasn't asking for help, but he demanded the truth. I subtly raised my hands, showing that I wasn't armed. I didn't make any sudden movements. I didn't try to appear brave, because he knew, we both knew, that there was no possible confrontation there, only understanding or destruction. "You're looking for him," I murmured. "The little one." The deep breath came again, but this time it didn't sound aggressive. It was almost melancholic, almost human. Morris became tense. "Do you think he understands what you're saying?" "Not like that," I replied, "but he understands intention. They always have." The creature lowered its head slightly, as if in agreement, and then he held out his hand with the toy. He didn't play. He didn't threaten. He didn't offer. He showed it, as if it were saying, "You know what you did. Now show us where he is." My whole body trembled, because of memory, of guilt, and from doubt. Because in that 1952 file, Dr. Harlan didn't just mention the family. He wrote something more, in the margin of a page-in, almost illegible note. "The little one isn't dead. He was taken." But taken where? The answer wasn't there, in that hallway. But the clues were there. The creature took another step. The ground vibrated. The sound echoed throughout the entire underground. He was no longer hiding his presence. He wanted us to know he was there, that he was searching, and it wouldn't stop. Morris stepped back half a pace. "He's going to advance, Agent," he said, his voice thick. "And if he advances..." "He's not going," I replied, with a firmness I didn't feel myself. The creature stretched out its entire arm, bringing the toy closer. The object swayed gently, hanging by a paw that was almost torn off, and that's when I noticed a detail that froze me inside. There was dried blood, ancient blood, tiny, almost imperceptible spots, but real. It wasn't animal blood. He was human. Morris realized it immediately. "That doesn't make sense," he muttered. "Why would there be human blood on a toy?" He didn't finish, because we knew. The government didn't just capture the cub. He conducted experiments, maybe with him, perhaps near him, perhaps in it. The creature made one last gesture. He pointed the toy at us, then he pointed to the end of the hallway. Where was the biological testing area located? And then, for the first time that night, it made a different sound. A hint of lament. Low, old, deep. A sound only a father would make. I felt every muscle in my body tense up. He wasn't seeking revenge, no escape, not even destruction. He was looking for his son, and now he wanted us to follow him. Bigfoot kept his arm outstretched for a few seconds, as if he needed to make sure we understood the message. And we did. There was no denying it anymore. He wanted us to follow him. He was guiding us or testing us. With the toy in his enormous furry hand, he took a step back, retreating into the darkness of the hallway. The sound of his footsteps wasn't chaotic, wasn't wild. It was firm, slow, controlled. A being who knew exactly where he was stepping, where he was, and what he wanted. Morris looked at me, waiting for my decision. "Let's go," I whispered. We followed the creature, keeping our distance but without hesitation. It was strange to walk behind it. The same being that, for decades, the government had treated as an uncontrollable monster now walked before us like a guide. It wasn't human, definitely wasn't an animal. With each step, the smell of damp earth intensified. It wasn't my imagination. It was so steeped in forest that it seemed as if the entire subsoil transformed into dense woods as we advanced. We reached the end of the corridor, where the Sigma-class biological testing sector, the most restricted place in the entire building. A place that even I, with advanced authorizations, was rarely allowed to access. The door was reinforced, almost like a bunker, but it was open, not broken into, just open. Morris swallowed hard. This is impossible. No one opens Sigma Classroom without 3 authentications, 2 cards, and the physical presence of the director. I inspected the door. There were no signs of force, no scratches, no impact marks, nothing. Bigfoot simply opened up as he entered slowly, lowering his body to pass through the reinforced doorway. We followed behind him, each step more careful than the last. The interior of the room was unlike any other in the basement. It looked like an abandoned laboratory, yet functional. Dim lighting, steel tables, containment cabinets, pressurized chambers. Some were lit, others broken. There were tubes, syringes, airtight containers. And then we saw the thing that made it seem like we couldn't breathe. A large glass tank. In the center of the room, almost 2 meters tall, full of yellowish liquid. And inside it, pieces of something. Something that shouldn't exist there. Something that had dark fur. Something that had small bones. Morris touched the glass, horrified. My God. My heart stopped for a second, because I recognized it. Not all of it, but enough to feel an overwhelming weight in my chest. Just remains, I murmured. Remains of some young creature. Morris completed what I was afraid to say. From the puppy. The creature approached the tank. The ground vibrated under its weight. The toy in its hand remained steady, but its posture changed. Its chest rose and fell unevenly. It wasn't anger. It was something deeper. A grief that permeated the entire space. He raised one of his giant hands and placed it on the glass with an unsettling delicacy. The tips of his fingers touched the tank as if he were touching something sacred. He remained like that for a few seconds, silent, motionless, just breathing deeply for a long time before what the government had been hiding for decades. And then he made a sound. Not a roar, not a breath. Yes, it's a shame. Low, broken, devastating. Morris took a step back, overcome with emotion. He knew, he murmured. He knew it existed. But he hoped it was a lie. The creature slowly turned its face, looking directly at me. And in that gaze was a question, a demand, a pain I would never forget. And a terrible realization dawned on me. Reinforced door, marked with the red seal, Phoenix Protocol, Level 7, whatever it is, I whispered. It's behind that door. Bigfoot took a step toward her, and we went after them. The reinforced door of PHONIX Protocol Level 7, it looked more like a military vault than a regular entrance. It was thick, lined with steel plates, and had a tiny viewing window protected by 4 layers of ballistic glass. It was the kind of door that shouldn't be easily opened, not even with explosives. But it was. Unlocked. Not broken. Not broken into. Right. Bigfoot stopped in front of her. His heavy breathing made the air around us vibrate. It was clear he recognized this place, or at least recognized the energy of what was inside. The toy was still firmly in his enormous hand, almost like a silent reminder of why we were there. Morris analyzed the electronic panel. "This makes no sense," he muttered. "The Phoenix Protocol should have been sealed back in the 80s. Nothing in, nothing out. Nothing." "Human," I corrected. Morris slowly raised his eyes. "Do you think that... Did you open that?" I looked at the dashboard. There were no signs of forced entry. No damage. Just one detail, so small it could go unnoticed. The fingerprint sensor was cracked. Not destroyed. Not ripped off. Cracked. It's as if something with immense force had pressed down enough to cause an internal failure, but without breaking completely. "He didn't open it violently," I murmured. "He opened it. Hacken's system." Without knowing it was doing so, Morris's eyes widened. "Like this system is old. Any strong impact at the right point creates an oscillation that releases the safety lock. And I looked at Bigfoot's colossal hand, must have pressed here. Exactly here." The creature looked at me. There was no aggression in its eyes, only immense pain. A pain I could no longer bear to see without feeling guilty. He placed his hand on the door and gently pushed it open. And she opened it. The room's interior was cold, too cold. A frigid air escaped, hitting my face hard. The lights were dim, flickering at long intervals. It was like entering a laboratory forgotten for decades, yet still active. The walls were lined with steel, and there were tanks, chambers, old computers, and glass tables. But it was the central chamber that caught everyone's attention. It looked like a cryogenic capsule. Tall, cylindrical, surrounded by tubes and wires. It was ice accumulated on the sides and an analog panel flashing erratically, and then we saw what was inside. A body, small, shrunken, surrounded by frozen water and bluish light. Bigfoot's heart raced. I could almost hear it. Morris approached slowly, his hands trembling. "My God," he whispered. "It's him. Or it's someone else. But it's the same species." I couldn't breathe. The image seemed distorted, impossible. "Is he alive?" I asked, my voice trembling. Morris frantically searched for a secondary panel, trying to decipher the readings. "Vitala functions are..." He swallowed hard, extremely weak, but present. Bigfoot approached the chamber with a care I never imagined I'd see in such a colossal creature. He touched the glass with the palm of his hand, just as he had done in the previous tank, but this time, there was no lament. There was hope. His body trembled slightly, as if he were about to collapse. And then something happened that completely disarmed me. From inside the capsule, amidst the cold vapor, the little eyes moved. A faint blink, a minimal reflex, but it's real. Bigfoot made a sound I had never heard before. A sound that mixed relief, despair, and love. A sound like someone rediscovering what they thought they had lost forever. Morris recoiled, frightened. He knows he's alive. I felt tears burning my eyes. He didn't come to attack the agency. He didn't come to destroy anything. He didn't come to seek revenge. He came to save his son, I murmured. The creature rested its forehead against the cold glass. The little one inside moved its fingers slightly, almost as if trying to reach its father. It was at that moment that a deafening alarm filled the room. The red lights flashed, doors began to close automatically, and the message was repeated on the intercom. Phoenix Protocol activated. Total containment. Threat level. Maximum. Bigfoot looked at me, and I knew what we needed to do. The alarm echoed as if the building were screaming. Red lights swept through the laboratory in rapid pulses. transforming everything into a scene alternating between light and dark. The air grew colder, denser. Automatic doors began to close along the main corridor, including the one we had just passed through. Morris panicked. If that door closes, we're trapped in here. Phoenix blocks everything. Exits, ventilation, elevators, everything. I already knew that, and Bigfoot seemed to know it too. He recoiled from the cryogenic capsule and turned his enormous body toward the door, examining the metallic mechanism that slowly descended from the ceiling. The little one inside the chamber was still moving, minimally, but it was moving. And now the father risked losing everything again because of a protocol created precisely to prevent anyone from discovering that truth. I rushed to the side panel, typing codes at a frantic speed. My fingers could barely keep up with my thinking. I needed to think, fast. Total containment would close all the doors in less than 60 seconds. Morris tried to contact the upstairs audience, but the radio only returned static. "We are alone," he said, his voice breaking. "Then let's act like we are," I replied, forcing the door open with my shoulders. Bigfoot was watching us. He understood what was about to happen, not from the alarms, but from our desperation. The creature took a step, and the impact made the camera tubes shake. He placed one of his giant hands on the descending door, gripping the metal. The noise was terrifying. Steel Ranger. Extreme. Pressure. The mechanism is struggling to crush it. But he held on. His strength was absurd. He was literally preventing the Phoenix Protocol from completing the lockdown. Morris's eyes widened. If he keeps doing that, the system will overheat and it's going to crash, I added. That's what we need. I approached the room's master panel, an old, pre-digital panel with mechanical switches and rotary dials. It wasn't meant to be accessed by ordinary agents, but I recognized the architecture of that system. It was a relic of the Cold War. Bigfoot held the metal upright with effort. His arm trembled now, not from weakness, but from the absurd force he needed to apply. His gaze was determined, fierce, but full of despair. I needed to decide. Obey the government, or break protocol. Morris understood my dilemma. If you shut down Phoenix, they'll come after you. We'll lose our careers, maybe our lives. And if I don't turn it off, I replied, the puppy dies in here. Or worse, it goes back to the experiment. Morris closed his eyes for a second. He took a deep breath and he said, then do it. I turned the master key. She didn't move. I tried again with more force. Nothing. It required 2 authorized agents rotating simultaneously, like a nuclear launch code. Morris placed his hand on mine. 3, 2, 1. We turned. The system hissed, resisted, and then gave way with a metallic crash. The alarm changed its tone, from flashing red to flashing yellow. The complete lockdown was interrupted, not disabled, but delayed. Enough. The door stopped closing. Bigfoot relaxed his arm, but didn't withdraw his hand until he was sure it wouldn't crush anything or anyone. He looked at me, and for the first time, I felt something I never imagined feeling when facing a creature like that. Trust. Not human, non-verbal, but absolutely. Morris ran to the capsule. We have access. The power is unstable, but I can open the inner seal. I approached the creature. We're going to get him out of here, I said, unsure if he would understand every word, but understanding the intention. Bigfoot stepped to the side, allowing us to get closer to the camera. He was placing his son's life in our hands. And then the voice from the intercom cut through the air. Attention. Armed teams on the way. Authorization for the use of lethal force granted. Morris turned pale. Me too, Bigfoot heard, and he turned towards the door. Not like someone who runs away, but like someone who is ready to protect, no matter the cost. The warning echoed through the laboratory like an invisible gunshot. Armed teams on their way, lethal force authorized. I felt my stomach sink. Morris froze. Bigfoot turned his entire body toward the door, his chest puffed out, ready to face whatever came his way. But confronting 10 armed men in an enclosed space would be suicide. For him, for us, and especially for the puppies struggling to breathe inside the cryogenic capsule. We needed to get out of there. We needed to buy time. I ran to the side panel of the capsule. "Morris, I need your access card." He threw the card to me with trembling hands. I slid it into the reader. Red light. Attempt denied. Drugs. I brought my hand close to the biometric sensor. Yellow light. Awaiting confirmation. Bigfoot took a step. The entire hallway shook. He approached the chamber and placed his enormous hand on the glass, but didn't touch the panel. He knew he couldn't open it, but he knew something was happening to me. And then the light changed. Red, yellow, and green. The capsule began to release its seal. Morris stared at me as if he had witnessed a miracle. "How? It wasn't me," I murmured. "It was him." The system recognized his presence as ... familiar. It was impossible from a technological point of view, but it was the only explanation. Bigfoot moved closer, watchful, as the capsule slowly opened. Cold vapor filled the air. The small body inside was weak, thin, pale, but alive. Vivo. A small hand moved. The creature emitted that low, ancient sound, a lament transformed into hope. Morris remained motionless, but terror soon spread across his face. "They are coming!" And they were. Steps. Many. Approaching quickly. Military boots clattering in sync. I knew which team it was. Unit 7, trained specifically to combat non-human entities categorized as threats. They weren't going to have a dialogue. They weren't going to negotiate. They wouldn't hesitate. Morris ran to the side door of the room. Secondary exit used only by technicians. "It's locked," he shouted. Of course it was. Phoenix sealed absolutely everything. Bigfoot positioned his enormous body between us and the main entrance, not like a cornered animal, but like a guardian, a father, a force of nature ready to do whatever was necessary. But it couldn't end in a massacre, not even on our side, not even his. I looked around and noticed something I hadn't seen before. A reinforced ventilation duct, big enough for a person to pass through, not an adult Bigfoot, but maybe. "Morris, help me with this," I pointed to the duct. He ran up to me, not fully understanding. Behind us, the capsule finally opened. The cub, smaller than I had imagined, took a deep breath, as if the air were about to tear its frozen lungs. The father lowered his gigantic body, almost shrinking, and extended a huge arm into the chamber. The little one moved its hand and touched one of its fingers. My heart broke. The footsteps were less than 20 meters away. My father looked at me, and in that gaze there was a silent plea. "Take my son. Save him. Either he dies here, or he will die here." I swallowed my emotion and approached. The puppy was light, much lighter than I had expected. Its body was cold, but there was still strength in its tiny toes. I wrapped it in the thermal fabric from the camera. Behind me, Morris finally managed to open part of the duct with an emergency tool. The creature stared at the duct, then for me, then for the sun, and then came the most painful decision of the entire mission. He gently nudged the puppy in my arms, sacrificing the reunion to ensure survival. The soldiers arrived at the door. I heard the lock being pierced, the metal is giving way, the weapons being raised. Bigfoot turned to confront them. If you're rooting for them, share this video. The more people know, the harder it is to hide the truth. And I went into the duct with the puppy while Morris closed the grate behind us. The last sound I heard before the hallway disappeared into darkness. It was the most powerful and sorrowful roar that ever echoed in that building. The duct was narrow, suffocating, and damp. The metal vibrated with each muffled explosion coming from the corridor. I crawled with the puppy clutched to my chest, protected by the thermal fabric. Morris followed close behind, breathing too fast, while the sound of weapons echoed like thunder. With every meter traveled, Bigfoot's roar made the duct tremble. And yet, it didn't sound like hate. It was a calling, a farewell, and a warning to the men who were advancing on him. Morris touched my shoulder, quickly. "They'll puncture the duct if they can trace the heat," I continued. 1 meter, 2. The pup was breathing with difficulty, but was conscious, clutching my uniform with its small hand. Its eyes, a soft amber, opened and closed, fighting against the cold that still consumed it. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like a frightened child. The duct led us to a grate that opened onto the electrical maintenance room on level -2. I broke the grate with my elbow and landed carefully on the ground, protecting the puppy. Morris came down right after. The laboratory was hundreds of meters behind us, but the sound of the fight still echoed through the metal pipes' roars, screams, orders. "He's holding them all back," Morris said, his voice breaking. "He's sacrificing himself to give us time to escape." I wanted to deny it. I wanted to believe he would escape, but I knew the Phoenix Protocol and Unit 7 all too well. It was almost impossible to come out of a confrontation like that alive. Almost. I picked up the puppy more firmly. "We need to get him out of the building," I said. "Now," Morris agreed, but his eyes were red. We continued through the maintenance corridors, ignoring restricted access signs, dodging pipes and electrical cables. With each step, I felt the puppy grow a little warmer, as if the proximity of humans, or perhaps the proximity of desperation, was awakening its life force. We arrived at the emergency exit door in the basement, a rusty steel door that led to the technical parking area. I pushed. It opened. The cold morning air entered, cutting my face. But before we could leave, a voice behind us made my body freeze. "Stop. Now." We turned at the same time. Director Shaw, head of the CIA's Covert Operations Division, stood at the end of the corridor, tall, tense, gun in hand. His gaze was piercing. "Hand over the specimen." His voice was as firm as a rock. "Don't make this any worse than it already is." The puppy tugged at my clothes, and an instinctive wave surged through my chest. A protectiveness I didn't know I was capable of feeling. "He's not a specimen," I said. "He's a child." Shaw raised the gun a little higher. "You don't understand what you're protecting." "I understand better than you do," I replied. Morris stepped forward, trying to divert attention. "Director didn't. You hear? The creature back there didn't try to kill anyone. He just wanted his son, the same son you hid for decades." Shaw didn't blink. "This doesn't change the protocol." "Then the protocol is wrong," I retorted. For a second, a long, silent, dangerous second, Shaw hesitated. His eyes weren't fixed on Morris. They weren't fixed on the gun. They were watching the cub. And in that tiny glimmer of humanity, destiny made its decision. A deep sound echoed through the building, piercing the concrete, the metal, the air. A roar. But not a roar of attack. It was a roar of pain, of loss. Director Shaw closed his eyes. He lowered his weapon and he took a step back. "Go away," he said, his voice trembling. "I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. You weren't here." Morris was speechless. "Me too." "Get out," Shaw repeated, before I changed my mind. I didn't wait another second. We ran through the emergency exit to the parking lot. The night was cold and silent. Abandoned cars. Flashing security lights. I grabbed one of the agency's unmarked vehicles, tossed the keys to Morris, and got into the back seat with the puppy. When the engine started, the puppy opened its eyes. Amber eyes. Eyes that carried generations of an entire species. And it was there, in that instant. I understood the weight of the choice we made. It wasn't just about saving a living being. It was about acknowledging that, for 70 years, We were the monsters of the story. And now, for the first time, we were doing something right. As we drove away from the agency, I thought about the final roar that echoed behind us. Perhaps it was goodbye. Perhaps it was a warning. Perhaps it was a promise. But in my heart, I know exactly what it was. A father asking us to take care of what he could never protect. And for the first time since 1952, someone finally decided to listen. Guys, if this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll make a part 2 revealing other secret CIA operations. Let's go.